Hey, what's up everybody, this is Meath24, and today I'm taking a look at the Medicos Super Action Statue Series for Pierre Polnareff and Silver Chariot. As with Jojo and Dio, these are the character and the stand that go together, so I'm going to review them as one thing. And taking a look at the box art here, I find it interesting the colors they chose for these, because I guess I figured they'd do more of a silver and white here like they have for Polnareff's, but then Silver Chariot has sort of this dark green going on it, which is kind of cool. It's just a very strange color, something I would assume they would associate more with Kakyoin than Polnareff and Silver Chariot. But either way, I did notice that this one has the 25th anniversary logo on there. I guess that's just the batch that they pulled this one from for my order. I would assume that they did 25th anniversary re-releases of some of these characters with that logo on there, but maybe not all of them. Anyways, taking a look at the boxes for both, you'll notice they're the same size. These are both the smaller boxes. Polnareff's on the side there, you have him just sort of standing there posing. On the back you have a bunch of cool action poses, and looks at his different hands and faces there. Same thing on the other side. As for Silver Chariot's box, you have Silver Chariot just sort of standing there on the side. On the back, some more action poses, most of them featuring the sword because that's his main weapon. A look at the two different heads that you get, and then a bunch of different accessories, a lot of which deal with Part 5, actually. Again, there's a shot there on the side, and rotate it back around to the front. Taking a look at the figures themselves, they're a little bit more simple in terms of their color pattern than you had with Jojo and Dio. Bring the camera down a second. Part of it's just because of their color patterns in the anime and the manga. Polnareff has sort of this very dark navy for his shirt and the strap going over top. Got a nice light gray for his hair there. A little bit of metallic red on his earrings. And then obviously you've got the skin tone across the top there. Sort of this nice light gray weathered pants look. You can see the folds and the shading there. Very nicely done. As for Silver Chariot, pretty straightforward. He's silver. There's not a whole lot of variation in his color, but you do have some nice definition there on the lines and all the little joints and stuff. And I like the way that the headpiece looks with the ridges running there, the face mask, and all the nice little details here and there. I think it looks really good overall. For Polnareff's posability, you can get the neck to go back and forth like so. You can get the head to rotate side to side. I wouldn't really recommend trying to get it to go 360 because the back of his hair there comes down just far enough that it will hit the strap on the side. So if you don't want to, tear that up, I would advise not doing that so much. The arms you can get out to go pretty standard length, about that far. You can get them to rotate 360. You can get a bend at the elbow. It's not very far. You can get the wrists to rotate 360 no problem. The will go back and forth just like every other character. The torso will go back and forth and wobble around a lot more freely than I've seen on some of the other characters, which is nice. I think it's because he doesn't have any sort of jacket or vest or anything that's going to get in the way. It's just a single shirt. He will rotate at the torso a little bit. I don't think you can go 360 just because you got these little pouches on the back and the back of his pants stick up so far. The legs can go out about that far if you want him to look like he's breaking every bone in his lower torso. They can only go, well, actually they can go up and back about the same as well, so you can probably get them to go 360 no problem there. They will bend at the knee pretty well. You can get them to rotate at the ankles 360 just fine. You can get this back and forth, a little bit further back and forth than some of the other figures as well. Again, there's nothing to restrict it there on his lower pants, near his ankles, and then you can get the toes to go up and down just fine. Silver Chariot can have his head kind of go up and down there. The neck really doesn't move at all. It's just sort of a single solid piece running up to the head. Well, actually the neck can move, but it's not really... It's so deep in there that it really doesn't make that much of a difference. So yes, you can get it to move around, but you're almost just better off moving the head instead. Which does fine because you can, do whatever you want with it basically. The shoulders will rotate 360, or the shoulder arm rather will rotate 360, as will the shoulders themselves. You can get them to go up and out a decent amount, even with the armor piece there. He kind of pokes himself in the face, but it will work just fine. The elbows, you can get them to go almost 180, which is pretty impressive, probably because he's so skinny. And then you can get the wrists to rotate 360, get them to wiggle around, do whatever you want with them. The torso can rotate 360 up top here, and then you do have a separate joint that will wiggle back and forth closer to the waist, and you can get this to bend back and forth a little bit. It's basically just a ball joint there at the top piece. The waist armor will spin up and around there as a little disc piece. Popped it out by accident there. The legs, with the sort of disc waist armor out of the way, get them to go up about that far, get them to go back about that far, out to the side a little bit, bend at the knee, basically a perfect 180, and then he doesn't have any feet to speak of because it's just these needles. So that's one thing that's interesting with this figure. I didn't realize before I got this, because I just guess I didn't pay attention to it. This hand is always the needle point there. I'd never realized that before. It's only this hand that holds the sword and switches up to different poses. So that's the same thing with this figure. You can't switch this hand out. It's set to be that point at all times. So here we have Polnareff with the sort of OK symbol hand and one of the flat palm hands, politely asking some villagers if they know where a hotel with a clean bathroom is. You also get an extra open palm hand for the other wrist. You get a set of closed fist punching hands, one open fist hand for holding something. I suppose you could put Silver Chariot's sword in there if you wanted to. You get a set of sort of relaxed open palm hands. Get a pointing finger hand. You get sort of like the peace sign hand. One set of sort of splayed open hands, almost like Dio's crazy hands, but not quite. And then I already showed the sort of action scream face, but you also get sort of just a standard relaxed face and the goofy face that I just put on him, which is something of a combination of him cracking a joke and looking absolutely terrified. I already showed you Silver Chariot's default head here and his sword, but the other head that he comes with, the damaged head, has a lot of really cool little metallic, almost wire-like details coming out the side there and the top, and it might be kind of hard to see, but it has like a very faint pink hue to it, so it almost looks bloody down here on the bottom, which is pretty cool. You also get this sort of open, relaxed hand for the one side. A set of two different open fist hands for that same side for holding the sword. One seems to be a little bit tighter grip, and actually I think it might be intended for the arrow that he comes with, because it would hold that better. You get this open palm splayed hand, and then you do get one closed fist punching hand. So I mentioned there's a few accessories here from Part 5, first up being the arrow, and I won't spoil anything for Part 5 if people haven't read it yet, but that's a pretty key item from later on. You also get a little laptop here with the main cast members from Part 5 displayed on a really simple sticker. That's the only part of this that feels a little cheap, is it's just a one kind of cheesy sticker there. But the keyboard is done well enough because it's separate plastic there. You also get this gold key, if I can hold it up to the camera decently enough. Yeah, you get the gold key, and then two of the turtle from Part 5. One with the key in his back already, and one without. And you'll notice the one without, he's currently like retracted into the shell there, whereas the other one, his legs are out. You can actually pull the head and legs off of the shell and swap them out if you want. So if you wanted the one with the key in there to be, retracted into a shell, you could do that, and same thing for the other one. But I think it's really cool that they have these accessories from Parts 3 and 5 for this figure. I think it's really cool that they went ahead, instead of making them two separate figures, they're like, no, you get a bunch of stuff from later in the series with this figure. It's a really nice little touch on Medicos' part. So long story short, these are probably some of my favorite JoJo's figures that I currently own, especially because of how well they complement each other. I mean, Polnareff only has so many accessories, but there's so many different hands that he comes with that you can pose him in a bunch of really cool ways. And Silver Chariot's accessories, well, maybe not the most expansive set of any JoJo's figure out there, are really cool because they do take into account both parts 3 and 5, which he and Polnareff are important to. So it's really nice to see that they kind of both streamlined the, I guess, design of these figures a little bit, as well as the accessories they come with, but they're also varied enough that it keeps things interesting, keeps it from being too much like the others, which is always appreciated. Like I said, the color apps are fantastic, the paint job and the sculpting and all that's great. The posability on these figures is actually better than most of the ones that I own, so that's also appreciated, and because of that they rank probably among my favorites of what I have right now. So if you're a fan of Polnareff or Silver Chariot, or both, like I am, because he's a doofus and his Chariot stand is awesome, I'd highly recommend them. They're a great little addition, or a good place to start with your JoJo's figure collection. So that's pretty much it for this review, and with that, I will see you guys next time.